What is up? What is up? What is up, everyone, everyone, everyone? It is another Sunday. So y'all know what that means. Black Saved Entrepreneurs. What is up? What is up? What is up, y'all? I'm here with my homegirl, my family, my sis, Miss Cortesia Oxford. How you doing?
I am doing excellent. Listen, with all the tech issues we've been having, we are happy to be here. And we know today is going to be super powerful because we just been having issues for no reason. And all we trying to do is
Let's
be
have a great
black, saved, and
conversation.
entrepreneurs. That's it. That's it.
Yeah,
Trying to
yeah,
be great.
yeah. But y'all, we know tonight is going to be a great conversation. So I'm gonna let Cortesia introduce our guest, and then y'all are getting the first look at the intro video for Black Saved Entrepreneurs. So Miss Nat is getting the to be the first person to get the intro video played before she comes on the stage. So Cortesia, I'm gonna let you do the introduction ever.
All right. Thank you, everyone, for watching. I want to introduce to you and reintroduce to others Natalie Bullen as the founder of Unapologetic Wealth, a sought after identity and positioning coach for high achieving women who are ready for their next era of success. A former financial advisor turned entrepreneur, Natalie helps clarify their message, elevate their presence, and build profitable brands that pay them very, very well. I want to introduce to you and I want y'all to welcome in as we play our theme song, Miss Natalie, amazingly wonderful, wealthy Bullen.
This ain't just business, it's kingdom. Faith built the blueprint, purpose paid the price. Now we move different. We build for legacy, not likes. Let's go. Yeah, started from the prayer closet, now I'm walking in the plan. God said move, I ain't need no man's hand. Vision so clear, I don't flinch, I don't fold. Faith is my currency, heaven my goal, commit my work. Proverbs on my sleeve, God gave the gifts, I just had to believe. From the block to the boardroom, favor still flows. It's kingdom over culture and everybody knows I'm a
black saved entrepreneur. Yeah, we build with grace, profit with purpose, we in kingdom space. From prayer to the product, I'ma move by faith. Legacy in motion, watch the world get changed. I'm a black saved entrepreneur. Yeah, we build with grace, profit with purpose, we in kingdom space. From prayer to the product, I'ma move by faith.
What is up, Miss Nat? How are you? How are you?
Hey, that was a beautiful theme song. I'm feeling real special right now.
Dude, a lot of people have heard the theme song, but you are the first one to get the video
Okay,
that
okay.
matches the theme song. So, yeah, we are
I'm feeling
excited
real
about
good
that.
about that. It's beautiful.
Yeah. We when we knew you was coming on, we knew, all right, bet we gotta come correct. We
Here
gotta
we go.
we gotta roll out the red carpet for this one right here.
I appreciate it. I feel like it's been rolled out.
Yeah. So tell our audience a little more about you that we didn't say in the intro, and then we're gonna have a little fun and get into the conversation.
Mm. I think what's important for people to know is that I'm an accidental entrepreneur. You know, I set out to help people and I set out to serve and advance the kingdom of God, but I absolutely was not intending for things to get to this magnitude. And so if you're listening to this thinking, I don't really know if I want to run a business, I'm not really sure. You know, I think everything that we have done in our past is pulling us towards this point. And so often we are, I don't like my job, or I'm not where my money is supposed to be, or I'm not ready for this thing. And I think instead we can focus on what we have and what we can have and where God is taking us. So that's probably the thing that I don't ever tell people is that this was not as intentional as people thought, but that I'm walking the journey one step at a time.
I like that. I like that.
Miss
So,
Natalie,
so,
Hey.
as we are getting to know you, one thing I want to ask you is do you have a memorable money lesson from your childhood Because a lot of times we have this one thing that happened in our childhood that's like, oh my God, I don't never want to be broke again.
You know what? I have really good money memories from my childhood. One of my earliest ones is I used to make these bracelets out of like plastic string or like thread that you could like crochet together. Like I was crafty. And my mom would let me do all these crafts. And so I'm from Mobile, Alabama. And in Mobile, public school children wear uniforms like this. And so I didn't every school had a different color. And so if you wanted to be a little individualistic, like if you wanted to stand out, you had to accessorize. So I sold these bracelets. I would weave them myself and make these bracelets. Well, my mom took me to Campbell's uniform store, and Mr. Campbell was the owner. And I asked him, could I sell my bracelets in his store? And he said yes. And he let me keep all the money. So that's one of my earliest memories, was having a person I did not know as an adult let me like sell in their store and collect money from it, and actually have kids that I didn't know at schools I didn't even go to buying my bracelets. That's one of my earliest childhood memories. I was probably in like the 3rd grade.
So basically, what you saying was your bracelets and your product was in rooms that you ain't even walked in yet.
Yeah. At schools I ain't never, because every kid in the school district went to that school. So those schools I had never heard of, schools I ain't go to, but they were buying my bracelets, and I was like, this is so crazy. Like,
yeah, like little did they know that the person that made them is their age.
right, because I ain't tell them nothing. We just put them out on the shelf and just waited on them to sell. Like we ain't put a little note, hey, these were made by a child that's 8 years old. Nah, we just put it out there. And like, kudos to my mom, like having a parent who like would fund arts and crafts and would allow me to enter into an agreement with a store owner. Like, that's not something most children, I feel like, even have an opportunity to do. And my mom always championed for that. Like my mom believed in prosperity gospel. We used to watch Creflo Dollar. So my mom was always like, you deserve. Yeah, my mom was big on Creflo. I remember when I was a kid.
Old school right there.
Yeah, it's old school. But I remember when I was like, Mom, should a pastor have a jet? Should a pastor have cufflinks? Like, should a pastor be fly like this? Because I ain't never. And she was like, yeah. She was like, secular people have everything they want. Worldly people have everything they want. So if we serve the highest God, why shouldn't we? Why would we let the devil's people be better dressed than we are? And I was like, you know what? You got a good point. So from that point on, baby, just call me Baby Creflo. I want it all.
Now you said Baby Creflo, not Baby Creflo.
I want the cufflinks. I want the jet. Do it all. But my mama said that wasn't no sin, so I was with it.
Facts.
So a lot of people gave Creflo Dollar flack about that because they were like, why would he need a jet? And why do you believe that he received that because he's a Christian versus somebody else? Like, it's normalized for people outside of the church to have it, but somebody in the church to say that they need or require that. Why is that such an issue?
I think, first of all, we have to be clear. Don't nobody need a private jet. Like, but I think it's also a mindset issue that we have in the church, that you should only have your needs met. I feel like God wants us to have the desires of our heart, and everything you desire is not a need. If we're really being honest, our needs are very few. Our needs are shelter, clothing, food, water, and to a degree, companionship. That's it. So with that in mind, we could all be living in tents and sleeping in camping bags and eating hot dogs, and all of our needs would be met. I feel like anytime in the church, we are taught we have to be austere because every extra dollar should be going to those in need. But I would argue that God wanted us to have surplus. He literally rewarded people in the Bible with gold, land, horses. Like, I just don't recall there ever being, I'm going to reward you with one loaf of bread for the rest of your life. Like, we serve a God who literally owns everything. It is infinite. So why do we have to say, well, you know what? I'm going to live in a small house so I can give all the rest of my money away. I just can't get behind that. And I think, it might sound noble, the whole live below your means to give all your money away. But I would argue, if we're really trying to save souls, if we're really trying to bring people to the kingdom of God, us living poorly isn't going to do it. If I'm an unsaved person, an unchurched person that does not have a relationship with God, and I meet you as a Christian and you're struggling, you down bad, you don't have food, you walking because you don't have gas in your car, how does that make serving God look attractive? If his people are suffering, if his people are going without, how would that make a person on the outside think this is something I want to turn my life over to? So at minimum, I think we should be doing well enough to be able to say, this is what God is blessing me with, and be proud about that, instead of feeling like, well, I can't tell these church folks that I got a new purse because they're going to be on me. Why? What is that purse doing to harm somebody? So I think we have to be a little more careful about the judgment that comes across a lot of times in the Christian community. And yeah, Creflo got it because he was a pastor. And we really want pastors to be poor, if we're being honest. That's what we really want. We really want the pastor to be poor, because we think poverty and humility are right up on each other. We really want the pastor to be we want him in that parsonage, and we want him to eat beans and rice. We really don't want him doing no better. As soon as he drive a nice car, all of a sudden that means that there's mismanagement of funds. And I'm like, I don't know about y'all church, but my church gives away tens of thousands of dollars every single month to the sick and shut in and homeless. I don't care what my pastor drives. Why wouldn't I want my pastor to have safe, sound transportation? Why would I want my pastor to be broke down, busted, disgusted? Like, why would I want my pastor driving in some old hoopty that might break down? Like, what does that say about the church?
You as a church member.
Exactly. Me as a church member, baby, I'm gonna be embarrassed if my pastor is doing bad, because what we got going on. Nah, send me to another church. No.
So Nat, where do you believe these mindsets come from? Because I know people have been in church for years, generations of churches. Some of these churches are in the community. They spend all this time in the community, and the community doesn't elevate. People don't elevate. What do you believe, like, based on your experience? Is there like a portion in your life that you experienced that you were just like, no?
I mean, I'm very fortunate in that I've never been in a church that was led by somebody with a scarcity mindset. So I think I have a very different church experience than most people. I grew up AME, African Methodist Episcopal. I now go to a non-denominational church here in Huntsville. But I think it's multifaceted. I think for so long, Black people were disenfranchised and oppressed. We've literally had to do without money for the bulk of our history in America. From the point that we came over in the slave trade in the 1800s until 20 to 40 years ago, you could argue we were economically disenfranchised. You could argue that we are still economically disenfranchised. And so I think Black people in particular have equated not having enough money with resilience and nobility and being smart, being savvy, being frugal. Like, we look at our grandparents who grew up in the Great Depression and all that they accomplished with very little money and go, I'm going to aspire to that. So I think that's part of it. I also think that scripture about how it's easier for, the eye of the needle, like it's basically impossible for a wealthy man or a rich man to get into heaven. It would be easier for a camel to get through the eye of a needle. That has tainted people into believing that truly being rich is a sin, that you should not even strive to amass wealth, that if you have any type of surplus, you are ethically incorrect and that you should give all of your surplus away. So I think years of that kind of indoctrination. I also think that in general, Black churches tend to be focused on salvation and not so much focused on other things like preparing young people to date, court, and marry well, preparing young people with sex education so that when they actually get into these unions, they can please their partner. I don't think they talk very much about financial literacy and what it looks like to be a good steward of money outside of tithes and offering, and so because things are so lopsided, it's all just be saved so you don't go to hell. The curriculum is lopsided. It's like a college that only teach one subject. That's what I find. And so that's why there's so much of that rhetoric of scarcity in the church, because that's most of what the curriculum has involved. It's we're here to save souls. We're not here to do that other stuff. But I would argue the church might be the only community development and personal development some of its parishioners are getting, and we do our people a disservice to not give them information outside of here are things that you should not be doing and here's how you repent.
That I love that so much, Nat, because being a person that's been like in a major church, and then going down to a smaller church, you see the difference. Like James was telling me, like they bring in, when you look at a church, you look at the members. Are the members able to help you meet a financial goal? Or they got a building fund that's been around for 49 years and they have built nothing. So we're getting into our next segment. Our next segment is going to be a game. The first one is myth versus fact. So you're going to tell me whether it's a myth or a fact. Are you ready, Miss Bullen?
Yeah.
All right. So
All right.
I will be asking you the questions.
Okay.
All right. So the first one, hard work alone leads to riches. Hard work alone leads to riches. Is that a myth or a fact?
Myth. Most hardworking people are poor.
Okay.
Okay.
Financial advisors focus on women of color. Financial advisors mainly focus on women of color.
False. Women of color make less money than any other demographic. Most financial advisory firms focus on the affluent, which is white men.
Okay. Budgets will make you wealthy.
Mm, it's a myth, but it's rooted in good information. Having a budget will probably get you to financial stability, but it won't make you wealthy.
All right. And last but not least, sales is unethical. Sales is unethical.
That's a myth. Y'all should take that up with the IRS. If your business don't make money, it's a hobby. I don't know what else to tell you. That ain't even on me. That ain't on me. Just read the IRS publication. I don't want no smoke.
Facts. All right. I feel it. I feel it. I feel it.
But I know where that comes from because, again, like we talked about money mindset, we think money equals safety. And as such, we think it is unethical or immoral to ask people for it because that makes them unsafe. So if I think Cortesia needs her money, she has a child, she has a life, she has a parent, she has bills, it would be wrong of me to ask her for her money. So that's why people tend to think sales is unethical, because they're too busy thinking about, I'm going to harm this person by taking money from them, instead of saying, this person's going to spend money anyway. So they might as well spend it with my firm and actually get their problem solved. And that's deep, deep rooted. And that's not even a church thing, because the church ain't got no problem asking for money. They'll lock the doors, close the doors. I done seen some stuff lately, baby. The church ain't got no qualms with asking people for money. But for some reason, when women especially go into business, they're like, if people wanted what I was going to buy, they'll just buy it. And I'm like, that's never happened in the history of the world. Everything you have purchased as an adult happened because of some marketing. It didn't just drop in your mind to buy anything. I bought Sacred Hair Care. I did my whole hair care with it. I didn't buy it just to buy it. I bought it because literally it had been marketed to me and sold to me. That's why I purchased. I didn't just wake up one morning thinking, I wonder if Beyonce sells hair products. Let me just go Google it. It was marketed to me. So I really don't know how people stay in business if they think sales is unethical. I'm not really sure what they think, but every transformation in life happens on the other side of sales. Literally, every good thing that's ever happened to you happened on the other side of being sold something.
So you bring up Sacred Hair Care. I know for a minute online, people were like, Beyonce, you out of touch. You out of touch because your products cost so much. Why are we saying that people are out of touch, or they aren't normal, or they aren't considering people's pockets when they get to that level?
One, Beyonce tends to launch things that aren't aligned with her business. She's not known for wearing her natural hair. She's known for wearing weaves. She launched a whiskey. Since when does her demographic drink whiskey? So I think most of the backlash I saw was around why does she seem to keep launching these random brands that don't seem to have anything to do with how she actually lives her life. I also think that it is a fallacy for us to believe that everyone is poor. So let me just tell you all this. The best way to keep poor people poor is to do two things. One, to make them fight amongst themselves about issues, right? So you'll notice there's a lot of poor people who argue about billionaires online. That's the hot topic. Billionaire, billionaire, billionaire. They don't pay taxes. They're ruining everything. They're unethical. So you'll see poor person number one and poor person number two arguing about billionaires. The billionaire living their best life. They rich as hell. They don't even know the poor people. But the two poor people, they're like the Montagues and the Capulets. All they do is fight back and forth all day. So that's tactic one, to create infighting amongst each other. And number two is to make them believe that everyone is in their same situation. If you truly believe that everyone is poor, or that everyone is overweight, or that everyone has a low-paying job, or that everyone has traction alopecia, whatever, if you believe that everyone is afflicted with this condition, why would you even try to fix it? Like, what would make you even attempt to overcome it? You wouldn't, because you think it's inevitable. And so the worst thing that has happened to lower middle class, and lower income persons is the belief that everybody is struggling financially right now, because it placates them and makes them feel better about the money they don't have, instead of actually coming up with solutions. I happen to know there are tons of rich people right now. There are upper class people right now. There are people whose household income is $300,000, $400,000, $500,000, $700,000. I have a client who is a lawyer who's married to an anesthesiologist. Together, not including their businesses, just their salary from their W-2 jobs is $850,000 a year. And they are younger than me. I'm 37. So like, if you really want to get out of the mindset spiral, you have to accept that everybody ain't doing bad. And that's hard for your ego, because if you're doing bad right now, it makes you feel better to believe that everybody is doing bad right now. It takes a big person to admit, honestly, everybody ain't doing bad right now. And maybe I need to branch out and figure out what am I doing that's repelling money from me? What could I do to change my circumstance? And that's not something most people do. So when you hear all that complaining about the cost, because Sacred ain't that expensive. The shampoo is like $26. Like, that's not even one mimosa in Atlanta at brunch. And I'm doing wash day. I wash my hair every Sunday. And I mean, I bought one bottle of shampoo and it's lasted me for months. So I'm like, what are we complaining? Because these are the same people that wear $800 wigs. I grew this hair out of my scalp for free. So
Come on,
child, they got it.
Let me ask you another question. And the African American community, when you look at it, we see that the money doesn't really circulate in the African American community as much as it does with our counterparts.
Yep.
What I mean is, like, when you look at our Caucasian counterparts, their money multiplies about 3 or 4 times. When you look at our Asian counterparts, their money multiplies about 3 or 4 times.
Yeah.
When you look at others, their money multiplies about 5 or 6 times. But when you look at us, our money multiplies 0 half the time, because we are so busy giving our money to other people and spending our money elsewhere. But then we want to cry about the fact that there's nothing in our communities for us. When do you feel like we are going to get out of that crab in a bucket mentality? I don't want nobody else to get it. I don't want my brother or sister to do as well as I'm not doing.
I think it's deeper than that. I think it's deeper than that. When Trayvon Martin was murdered, there was a big push to buy black. And I decided that I was going to boycott the big stores, Target, Walmart, etc. And so I sought out to find a black grocery store in Huntsville, Alabama. And it actually did not exist. There had been one at some point in the past, but it had closed down. I sought out to find a Black hardware store where I could buy hammer, nails, paint. I tried to find a Black convenience store. I tried to find a Black houseware store. I tried to find a Black store where I could buy toilet paper and consumer products and feminine products, right? And I struck out. I actually could not replace Target. There was not even one Black owned store where I could buy things. And I learned we tend to concentrate our businesses in things that take less startup capital in very specific categories. We tend to start restaurants. We tend to do hair, but usually in buildings that are owned by non-Black persons. We tend to have boutiques full of clothes from China that are so small that the average Black person couldn't even fit in them. And so this is not to say that there are no Black people who own grocery stores. I'm saying the types of industries that we are looking to disrupt take a lot of money to start. Grocery stores are really expensive to start because of the inventory, hardware stores and et cetera. Not to mention that Walmart has come in and kind of obliterated the model. Again, in the 1940s, there were no super stores. Every store was different. So there were department stores, there were women's clothing stores, men's clothing stores, haberdasheries, hardware stores, there were doctor's offices. Everything was separate on one like strip, like a plaza. And then Walmart came in with these kind of super stores, this model where everything is in one store, this big box store, and it closed down a lot of the mom and pop individual stores. And, you know, there's Black, you know, Tulsa, like there's so many like massacres and so many things that were stolen from Black people. Now we tend to start businesses that take a little bit of money and are very easy to run. And those don't tend to be the kinds of businesses that other ethnicities will start because they have more capital. They can afford to open a gas station. They can afford to open a grocery store. They can afford to franchise a Chick-fil-A. Those things normally take $1 million plus net worth. They take tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of liquid cash, right? And as a whole, Black people do not have the credit scores of our white counterparts. We don't have the savings of our white counterparts. We literally cannot replicate most of the businesses that white people tend to start. And so is part of it crabs in the bucket? Sure. Are there some people who really don't want to see Black people come up? Yeah. Are there people who hate on Beyonce because she's rich? Certainly. But this is a macro problem. This starts at the top, that Black people by and large do not have good credit. We don't use leverage. We try to bootstrap our businesses with cash. We charge too little, and we start industries that pigeonhole us. It's been a lot of times I wanted to support Black businesses, but I'm not buying no club outfits and cheap fake leather shoes out your boutique. I wear suits, baby. You don't sell no suits. I'm just being honest. I'm on a diet. I've lost 36 pounds since July 22nd. I'm not going to your soul food restaurant and eating 2 days worth of sodium in one meal. I'm just not. Ain't nothing healthy on your menu. So a lot of times we be wanting to support. I want to support you, but is the quality and is the offer aligned with where I'm at right now? Is it something I need? We tend to get in businesses that sell luxuries, and other ethnicities tend to get in businesses that sell necessities like real estate and grocery stuff you gotta have no matter what's going on in the economy. So there's a bigger wheel at play there.
So, Miss Bullen, you've spoken on previous interviews where you've spoken about the difference between high income and true wealth. Mm-hmm. Can you share how you went from barely making $60K to building a business that now brings in more in a month than you once earned in a year?
It's God. It's all God, girl. That ain't me. I'm so favored. It's such a blessing. I don't even have words for it, girl. Listen. God has given me tremendous favor. I don't deserve it. I don't know how I got it. I pray he lets me keep it. I think there's two things that I did right. Like I made a lot of mistakes. We get to that. I got a list of mistakes. But I think I did two things really well in my business. I think the first thing that I did really well in my business is price in such a way to have enough profit to grow and be able to reinvest back in the business. And I think the second thing that I did was sell unapologetically. Most people are just afraid to ask people for money, and I am not. I am not afraid to ask you to buy whatever it is that I sell. I think that what I sell changes lives. I think that everybody who buys my offer, I think their life has been enriched by it. I actually think I'm doing good work in the world. I think I help people sell better, charge more, step into their authority, listen and focus on their God-given gifts. I think I help people become better leaders and more courageous, more positive and more optimistic, healthier, fitter, sexier, happier, more well rested. I think I'm the total package. That's really what I believe. And so, why wouldn't I go out and change people's lives if I had the opportunity at the exchange of something that they can make more of? I don't fear taking people's money because they can make more money. That's literally what money is for. It's called currency. It moves like a current in a river. So if it doesn't come to me, it's going to somebody else. So those are things I think that I've done well in terms of how I've been able to grow my business. And I'm frugal. I reinvest back into myself. My business funds my retirement. I don't ever want to be broke again. I was broke. I have filed bankruptcy. It sucked. I don't want to do it no more. So I make sure that some of the money that comes into my business creates personal wealth for Natalie Bullen. I think it is a shame how few businesses change the founder's life. People say, I want to change lives. I want to change lives. What about your life? Why is your life the life that's not being changed? I've never understood that when people like, I want to change people's lives with my business, but you still paycheck to paycheck, client to client. You still got credit card debt and worried about how you're going to pay payroll. That doesn't sound like your life got changed, at least not changed for the better. So I think really focusing on what I wanted, and I wanted financial freedom, and working every day towards that. And if it makes people uncomfortable or makes people unfollow me, so be it. I have a mission to achieve. I can't take everybody with me, and that's okay. And I think that's where most people slow down. They're trying to take everybody with them. They're trying to wait for people to catch up. Baby, they're not going to catch up. They're not running your race. Sometimes you just got to decide it's time for me to pour into me, and I'm ready to be rich. Not just I'm ready to help my community achieve XYZ.
I like that. I like that. I love that response right there. So we about to play game number 2. You ready?
Yeah.
All right. So this one is called Rewrite Your Wealth Script. Rewrite Your Wealth Script. So I'm gonna give you some situations, and I want you to respond to them.
Okay.
All right. So my current money story says what? Your current money story says what?
That wealth is my birthright and that I can have anything my heart desires.
I like that. I like that. All right. A new wealth script that I choose is what?
I like that. What is a new wealth script I could choose? Probably around the economy. There's so much fear right now that the economy is bad. I think maybe even in a down economy, there's still opportunity for me to grow my business.
All right. All right. I like that one. And very
Mhm.
last one. Beliefs about money that I inherited that now I wish I could get rid of.
I definitely inherited a frugal spirit from my grandparents who were born in 1925, so Great Depression era. And so it definitely made me cheap for a while. And that is not always a great trait because you step over dollars to pick up nickels. So that's something I've had to train myself out of, that it's actually okay. It's safe to spend money, but that's definitely something I inherited. I also inherited that money is just to pay bills, and that the only thing in life that's certain is that you're going to stay black, pay taxes, and die. So I've had to train myself out of both of those too.
I listen. I've heard the stay black, pay taxes, and die,
Yeah.
and black people don't go to therapy. That has been a
Oh,
major part.
yeah.
So
Why you think I talk so much about going to therapy on my page? it's not to tell people my business. I'm really trying to normalize that in the Black community, because for some reason, Black people think that therapy is for white people. You know what I have a gripe about? Why is it everything positive we say is for white people? Wealth for white people, fitness for white people, investments for white people, stocks for white people, real estate for white people, trusts are for white people, nepotism is for white. What do we get? Damn, like I just want to know every time I think to myself, why do we always put all of these positive things in the bucket of only white people can partake in this? Why would we segregate ourselves? If the website lets Black people book appointments, why would we not do it? Why would we opt out of it? I don't get it.
It's one of those things that I look at and I'm like, but why though? And
But
you
why?
know, you're taught, you know, all kids go through a why stage, and you bring up nepotism. So Ice Cube went through, and the son, Ice Cube's
Yeah.
son, was interviewed, and he said, the interviewer asked him, people are saying you're a nepo baby. He was like, so you want me to struggle? You want me to do bad?
They
You
do.
want me?
Yes, people do.
So when you think about that as a financial wealth cycle, it is a current financial wealth cycle that happens all the time.
Mhm.
How can someone change how they identify with wealth by getting rid of mindset that nepotism is bad? Because me as a mom, I'm like, let me train you up, and I will nepo you to $1 million or more.
I think we tend to look down on things that we have been harmed by. And so most Black people I know have felt harmed by cronyism or nepotism. Maybe they've been mistreated in corporate by somebody who they felt like, you know, if you like your boss's son is a jerk, but he gets promoted over you, you know, like I think people have had brushes with nepotism that did not feel positive. Black people have also been taught that we have to earn everything, that we have to work hard for everything. You know, I had a career coach who told me once that when white people want to get promoted, they go to the golf game, they go to their boss's house, they go to the potluck. When Black people want to get promoted, we go back to college. So we are not taught to network and use our connections. In fact, we are taught that that's cheating, or that is a shortcut, or that is not the right way to do things. We have been trained that hard work is the only thing that is ethical. Anything that shortcuts hard work, anything that does not involve earning or labor, you should not accept anything that's just given to you. Nothing is free. That is our trauma response, that anything that's given to you is short-lived. You won't be able to keep it. It's not good. It's not right. So you should work hard for it. Nepotism flies in the face of that, because it's literally saying, because of your lineage, because of your heritage, because of your genetics, you get something. It's literally leapfrogging the people who work hard. Well, if you're a hard worker, you don't want nobody leapfrogging you. But instead of saying, how can we benefit from nepotism, we just villainize it and go, yep, that's not a good thing. But I'm going to tell you the truth, right? Whenever people talk about the Jenners, talk about Jaden Smith and Willow Smith, baby, I laugh, because they're laughing all the way to the bank. Why wouldn't you want your child in your films? Why wouldn't you want your child in your trust fund? Why wouldn't you? And the truth is, a lot of people who have children have done no family planning at all. They have not thought about how they're going to fund a trust for their child. They have not started a savings for their child. I don't know if God's even going to bless me with a child in my childbearing years, but yet my child already has a crib, clothes, and a savings account with money in it. This is a person who ain't even trying to get pregnant. Yet I meet people with 5 kids that don't have life insurance. So like, yeah, nepotism is going to scare you when you didn't plan for your own children to prosper. And I don't say that with shade. You probably weren't taught. Like most Black people were not taught, before you have kids, you need to sit down, you need to make a plan, you need to meet with a financial advisor, you need to put money aside. We weren't taught that. But when you know better, you do better. So it's interesting that instead of learning how to create nepotism benefits for your own children, you just decide that it's bad and villainize it. But I think that's what people do when they're just not informed. And that's why it's so important for us to have dialogue like this. You might say amen, you might say ouch, but either way, you got my point.
Amen. I got a question for you, real quick.
Mhm.
Why do you feel that as African Americans in the African American community, instead of teaching our kids how to be entrepreneurs, our main job is we feel like our main job is to teach them how to work for somebody else. And like a lot of the times with our other counterparts, they set them up
That's true.
to be successful. Like
Yeah.
little Billy after he gets out of college or
He
high
got a he
school,
got a family job to
like
go
money
to.
sitting
Yeah.
right over here in the corner where he can travel all over the world and figure out what he want to do with his life.
That's
But
true.
little Johnny over here, as soon as
Yeah.
he get out of college, he got to go right into a 9 to 5. He ain't even got time to figure out what he wants to do with his life because his life is not set up that way.
That's
Why do you
true.
feel like
I
that?
think this goes back to that larger macroeconomic problem that I talked about. First of all, you cannot inherit what your parents do not possess. So if your mom has black hair and your dad has black hair and your grandma has black hair and your granddaddy has black hair and your great grandparents have black hair and your great great grandparents have black hair, you cannot inherit blonde hair. Ain't no recessive gene for you to inherit. You cannot get something from your ancestors that they don't have. By and large, black people are not running successful firms to the degree that we could hire our kids in general. Now, are there outliers? Of course. But I have to go look at data. I don't want to speak out of turn, but at last time I checked, the average black woman owned business made $48,000 a year in gross revenue. That is top line revenue. And I believe that less than 10% of all small businesses have any employees. So having a business that's large enough for you to have employees, have payroll, have millions of dollars of revenue for your child to even step into, have systems and processes, it's rare. Hell, it's rare for white people. Like the number of people who can do that of any race is small. So you can't pass down what you don't have. How could my grandfather pass down a business when he didn't have a business? How could my mom pass down a business when she didn't have a business? She passed down an entrepreneurial spirit because she sold MLM, she sold Avon and Mary Kay. She still writes policies for Primerica. So she showcased to me what it looks like to have a side hustle and what it looks like to have hustle and what it looks like to be a salesperson. My mom will walk up to anybody in Sam's and go, hey, who's your life insurance carrier? What would happen to you if something happened to your spouse? Like my mama will sell. She's 75. She will go do cold outreach today. But like she didn't have a business for me to inherit. So you can't pass down something you don't have. So the question is not why do we not set our children up for success? The question is how do we set ourselves up for success? How do we have businesses that are large enough that our child could even step into and be on payroll? And that comes with things that we typically just aren't taught, like systems and processes, having a business that's separate from us. I love my business, don't get me wrong, but my business is a personal brand. If I drop dead, my business is going to die with it because most of the value is Natalie. Whereas a lot of our counterparts are buying things that it doesn't really matter. If you own a gas station, nobody cares who owns the gas station. Your local gas station, you don't know who owns it. You do not know who owns it and you do not care. All you know is that you got your snacks, you got your gasoline, you got your little stuff you needed, and you went on about your way down the road. And so I think, too, we're more likely to start firms that are consultative or web design, things that we have to be involved in the delivery. Again, because those are cheaper to start and easier to run and manage. They don't require warehouses and inventory and millions of dollars to start. Like we just tend to run businesses that are simpler, but are more reliant on the owner, which is not something you can pass down. And if we want to change that, we can, but I think that's systemic change. I think that's going to take decades or maybe even centuries for us to be economically at that level. And not to be the bearer of bad news, but based on recent studies, Black net worth is actually going down. By 2050, Black net worth for households is going to hit zero. So our net worth is actually decreasing, which is really scary. So I don't want to tell you it's never going to happen, but I will say it's going to take dramatic intervention We're going to have to save more, invest more. We're going to have to focus on credit, and we're going to have to decide we want to have businesses that have the types of structure that can employ our children. That's not an easy fix.
I respect that
I
1000%.
I love
It's a
that.
big
Like,
problem. It's a big problem. And like, I contribute to it because Lord knows I don't have no business that you could pass down to your kid. Not right now. Now, if I had a child, that probably would make me decide to shift some things, right? Maybe that would be a good time for me to, start a bookkeeping business, something that has a book of business and that you could pass down and don't nobody care who owns it. But right now, I'm part of the problem. I got an easy, low cost, easy to run, didn't have to be a millionaire business. So, I mean, I get why people do it. It's just not really going to grow our net worth in a predictable way.
so can we talk about AI real quick?
Yeah.
So they're looking at this year, by the end of 2025, a total of 85 million jobs can be displaced by AI, but
Dang.
97 million new roles might emerge, like coming in with new jobs. We already know that a lot of Black women have been fired. There are people who are older who are just like, I am
Yeah.
not going to learn AI. Microsoft at 6,000 workers, IBM had 8,000 layoffs.
Man.
And all of this is due to AI introductions, people creating AI and things like that. What do you have to say to folks that, number one, hate AI because they're like, you took my job, AI, or A1, as our lovely people have already said it.
Not
What do you have to
A1.
say? Listen, Linda McMahon, she said A1 in the interview when it was supposed to be AI, and it was an educational summit. So just to let y'all know,
I'm sorry.
that.
That is so funny to me. Like the steak sauce?
Yeah, she said, I want to talk to you about A1. A1 is a great thing that we are doing right now. It is going to, and everybody looked at her and they looked behind and they was like, don't that say AI? Yeah,
I
it says AI.
mean, I've probably said some crazy stuff in interviews, so I ain't even gonna do it.
But she's the head of the education department of the United States.
Um,
So with AI
Our
replacing,
government has not been so big on qualifications as of late. So
I'm gonna keep my mouth shut. I'm gonna keep my mouth shut.
period. Yeah.
I mean, I mean, one thing I can say, we are a country of equal opportunity. I mean, we don't have a black or white. We got orange. So I mean,
you know
I
what?
mean,
The,
we have
the
a leader with no credentials. So that's what I mean. Like,
yeah.
I get it. I get it.
So the question is with AI and also for the people in the United States with our current government who may feel like I have to be so smart in order to achieve these things. They've put out things where they're saying we're going to basically decrease the value of a PhD in the educational system as well. These are that's a rumor that's going around and people are talking about
I
it.
saw that.
Um,
Yeah, it's not
so
great.
what do you believe if you're a person faced with all of these things happening at one time? AI made you lose your job. We got the government breathing down your throat saying you can't get food stamps. You got to be laborious and work in the fields in order to do those things. You got a PhD and you working in like, can you talk to us, please?
I think that now is a great time to lean into your strengths. I cannot code. I cannot build websites. My husband has been working 3 or 4 years on a large language model for $1 million. Gun to my head, I could not give you a real definition of a large language model. I didn't know language could be large. Okay. I don't. So I think it's important for you to realize what your limitations are. Do not let people go out here and tell you that anybody can do AI, that anybody can code, that anybody can build these systems. I struggle with attaching a document to an email. So anybody can't do it. But what can you do? part of the reason why I make so much money is because I'm authentic and I'm honest and I lean into what I'm great at. I'm great as a coach. I'm great at being a financial manager. I'm great at orating my point. I'm a great speaker. So yeah, maybe I'm not great at tech, but you don't have to be to get by. You just have to be great at being you. So assess what your skills are and lean hard into that, whatever you got. If you funny, be funny. If you sexy, be sexy. If you smart, be smart. But now is the time. And most of us, frankly, are terrible at self-promotion. We've not done a great job at letting the marketplace know what we are excellent at, showing them our personality, being really upfront about what we believe. And so, yes, it is true that AI is taking jobs, but AI is also creating some jobs and not just technical jobs. I do copy reviews and done for you copy for certain clients. And I am actually making more money now that AI exists because AI copy is so bad for the average prompter. The average American that tries to prompt ChatGPT or Gemini or Jasper or Claude into giving it conversion and sales copy is awful. The result is not natural. It's not going to sell anybody. It does not work. It introduces very unusual words that no one uses in day-to-day language. It also pulls from a database that you don't know if it works. So like if you tell ChatGPT to write you some sales copy, it's going to aggregate, it's going to pull from millions of pieces of sales copy to write yours. But you don't know if it's pulling from pages that converted well, that ever sold at all, that are offers similar to yours. It just pulls stuff and just makes decisions for you. What most people get out of prompting from AI is trash. And when people figure that out, they hire people like me to de-AI their copy. I literally make more now that AI copy exists as a copywriter than I did before AI came out. Because AI has created a new problem. Now you have terrible, bland, vague, who wrote this copy? So I think there's opportunities if we choose to see them. For anybody who has lost their job, it sucks. It's horrible. It's the worst case scenario. I don't want that for you. But I do think, as with anything, we have to look at the positive and say, how can I get my lick back against AI? If you can't beat them, join them. So you got to figure out where can you join and maybe how can you be the anti. Part of why I make money with my coaching and consulting is I don't use AI in my deliverable. So when people hire me, they know Natalie's brain is the only thing that's happening in your service. I'm actually not using AI to build out pitch decks and write your copy. Like, it's me. And if you really trust me implicitly, that becomes a selling point. Again, I can charge more than people who use AI because they know they're going to get something that sounds like a human being wrote it because a human being did write it. So AI is here to stay. It's not going anywhere. You're going to have to figure out how you can manipulate the new world this way. You're going to have to get right or get left.
True. Because I can tell you, ChatGPT is one of my best friends. I love it.
I get it. And it's good for a lot of things. Like if you need to know like how to pack your suitcase for a 2-week trip to Italy, it will make you a packing list and send you a visual on exactly how to put it in the suitcase. If you need like meal prep for a picky eater that's got allergies, you can snap a picture of your fridge and it'll come up with a whole week of recipes. Like, AI is great as an assistant, but as a copywriter, it leaves a lot to be desired. So like, depending on what kind of job you had, you might be able to use some adjacent skills to still make you some money. And honestly, having one stream of income is hella risky right now. I don't care what your one stream is. I wouldn't care if I was an anesthesiologist, I'd probably have a side hustle at this point. Like, I think you need at least 2 things paying you every single month. And that's everybody.
I love that. Because a lot of times they'll tell you about the 7 streams of income, but then people will be everywhere with their 7 streams of income.
Yeah, not 7, 2. Not 7. When people think about that, first of all, that's a story about millionaires. If you're not a millionaire yet, you don't need 7. Second of all, a lot of those streams run off of each other. For instance, I have a business that makes a certain amount of money every year. It pays me a salary. That is one stream of income. It also funds my retirement so that I can get capital gains and dividends from my investments. That's another stream. It also allows me to be able to buy a cash value life insurance policy if I wanted to, or to be able to buy a REIT if I wanted to, or to be able to buy another asset if I wanted to, and be able to take money out of that asset. That's not the same as what people think. They just go and start 7 businesses. Y'all a notary and a real estate agent, and you do hair, and you do interior decorating, and you got a boutique. That's not what they meant. They did not mean go start 7 separate LLCs. They mean, how can you take one skill set and diversify it enough to where you are getting income in multiple ways? That's what it's talking about. So that's why I say for most people, 2 works. A W-2 type income, a steady job-like income, and then another income that is on the side that if you need to ramp it up, you could. My mom sold Mary Kay for like 20 years in the school system. She always had her check, but she always had a way for her to be able to make money around the holidays. She didn't have to come out her pocket for Christmas. People would just buy enough Mary Kay for her to use her commission and buy whatever we wanted for Christmas. Like it was working smarter, not harder. But having 5, 6, 7 different businesses, that is not what that adage means.
So
I'm having to learn that myself with everything that I do with social media. Cortesia will tell you I am one that will try to add so much to me that like I got one brand which is MJ's Glover Studios, but then I'll try to add like different branches to that brand to top it off. And she's like, bruh,
That's too much.
slow it down.
Yeah, slow it
Slow
down.
it down.
I have a rule: get 1 to 100K, and then assess whether you're gonna add another one. Because otherwise, you might have 7 different businesses that all 10,000 here, 20,000 here, 40,000 here. You probably could make 100 with your main if your main was your main. But when you spread too thin, you can't really grow any of them, and you can't really invest in any of them because there's always all these conflicting priorities. So like, get one business, one brand to 100,000 a year, and then assess whether growing that one makes more sense or if starting another one makes more sense. That's my rule, 100K. If it make less than 100K, what you switching for?
I like that.
okay. So I want to ask you a question, Natalie. I want you to imagine, and this is called Pitch Perfect, a role play scenario game.
Okay.
I want you to imagine you offer a 6-week group coaching program at a premium price. Create a short pitch to a prospective client that clearly communicates its value while remaining ethical and authentic.
I don't know. What problem does it solve?
It talks about tone, confidence, and addressing objections.
And how much does it cost?
You get to come up with a premium price.
I get to come up with a premium price. See, I don't know. This is hard because I don't pitch people. I let people pitch me. I'm like, see, you got me trying to do something I wouldn't even do. You know,
this is for the people who are, just starting out and they're like,
I don't want them pitching either. Listen.
Okay, talk about it.
I don't want them pitching either. I want you to pitch if you got some money on the line. Like if you in like a contest for like a grant, pitch. Okay. Pitch if you are in a proposal, grant, loan, go out there with your problem. You need to make your problem seem compelling. Did you know that 1 in 3 women under earn in their corporate careers because they don't stand up for themselves in meetings? I used to be one of those women. Hey, I'm Nat Bullen. I'm CEO of Unapologetic Wealth, and I want to help you get more confident when you step into every room. My 6-week program, such and such, does these things, but here's what you really need to know. You need to know that on the other side of your yes is where your millions are. I've helped X number of clients be able to get promoted, move up the ladder, and whatever. Like, you can judge it, but that's for like a pitch, like an actual contest. If we're talking prospects, I like to get people who already have some amount of readiness and awareness, right? When we think buyer journey, we have to think about awareness. So Let's imagine that you were coming down with a cold, right? You wake up in the morning and you sniffling a little bit. Your throat is a little scratchy. Your head kind of hurts. You're like, oh, I'm coming down with something. That's becoming symptom aware. You're aware of the symptoms in your body, right? As the day progresses, you feel worse and you're like, oh no, this might be a sinus infection because you've had a sinus infection before. You had a diagnosis before. Now you're problem aware, right? So maybe you're going to start Googling for urgent care. Maybe you don't have a primary care physician. So you're going to go online, sore throat remedy, cold medicine, urgent care open near me, right? That's the consideration phase. You're thinking about doing something. You ain't done it yet. You ain't bought nothing yet. You ain't left your house yet. Consideration. And then maybe you go to the doctor and they diagnose you, right? And they're like, hey, you need to buy these things. Now you're at the purchase stage. You move through stages. I don't like to sell to people who are unaware. That would be the person before they went to sleep that night, before they woke up with the scratchy throat, before they woke up with the headache. They don't even know they're getting sick yet. So if they see a commercial, like say it's 10 o'clock at night, that's my bedtime, and I see a commercial for an urgent care that specializes in sinus infections, I'm not going to pay no attention to that advertisement because I don't have symptoms yet. I'm still feeling okay. But when I wake up the next morning, now I'm more aware. And so I worry that when women go out and try to pitch, that they are literally starting at zero, trying to convince unaware prospects to buy. I like to use the attraction method. I like for people to be attracted to me and what I'm doing. I like to put thought-provoking stuff out there that's like, hey, what would you do if you made 3 times as much money next year? So it's based on my little fictitious example, 1 in 3 women is under earning because they're not putting themselves out there. So instead of me pitching on my page, I could just say, what would you do if your income tripled? And people are going to answer. Well, now I've got their attention. And so now it will be easy for me to position an offer to them because they want what my solution is. They want to make more money. You get what I mean? But like traditional pitches, I feel like unless you are in a position to actually get somebody to write you a check, I don't know if that's a skill that I teach people a whole lot. Even on sales calls, why are you pitching? You should be closing, not pitching.
Oops.
I'm like, what happened?
Listen, it's just because we having a good conversation. So, all right, James, get into our next to last question.
All right. Our next question is our next to last one, which I've been enjoying this conversation tonight. We got to get you back for a part 2 for sure, because I feel like we just barely scratching the surface. But our next to last one is: how has your faith shaped your view on money and stewardship? And what does faith-led wealth mean to you?
Being a Christian, in my opinion, means being a good steward of everything God has given you. So that's not just money, that's your talent. I believe in the parable of the talent. And so I think part of why I show up so much, why I sell, and why I'm so adamant about building wealth in especially the Black community is because I feel like God did give me a gift. I feel like God did give me a talent, and I know what happens when you bury your talents. So that's the answer to part 1. I also think that we should not be reckless with what God gave us. A lot of people have had downturn in their business in the last couple of years. We have absolutely had downturn. Our revenue this year will not be what it was in 2022 or 2023. And so a lot of people spend at the top of their means. They spend as much money as they can. They're very reckless. And now they're in trouble. And so I think being a good steward means having savings. It means having adequate insurance. You know, having business insurance is great, but if you give any type of advice or counsel, or if you're in a high risk industry, you should absolutely also have professional liability, errors and omission insurance. I also have cyber insurance. If your Stripe account gets compromised and people's credit card information gets leaked, baby, they're not going to sue Stripe. They're going to sue you. So a lot of times we don't have the safety and security. We're just not protected. And I feel like I go above and beyond to try to make sure that my risk and compliance is together, because ultimately I have to answer to God if I squander the blessing of having this business. In terms of how do I make sure that I what does faith based look like for me? I think everyone's faith is different, but it depends on where you're at with what God has given you. To me, a faith based system says I might not know all the steps, but I know the next step and I trust God to help me take it. So I don't know what my business is going to do next year. I don't know how many years, I don't know. I don't know how many people are going to buy the offer. All I know is what I can control. So I can control our spending. I can control our savings rate. I can control our prices. So doing my part, because faith without works is dead, but also having the faith that if I take the first step, God will help me order my next step. And I think sometimes we as Christians try to do God's job. We try to make sure we have everything together. We don't want to take even one step. We're perfectionists. I feel like perfectionism is a sin because only God can be perfect. So if you're a human and you're actually not trying to be excellent, I'm talking about perfect. Like if you actually are trying to do something that is completely error free all the time and you're trying to move forward with something that is perfect, that's impossible for humans to do. We are all flawed and we all err and we all have errors and problems. Like that's just part of the human experience. So like to me, even stalling and delaying, trying to make things perfect is out of alignment with a faith-based system. A faith-based system only requires for us to take a step. It only requires for us to have faith and do work. So if you're doing those two things, I think that you are in alignment with what I would consider a faith-based system.
I like that. I like that. That is a powerful answer, and I wouldn't expect anything else less out of you. From what we've been hearing from you tonight, I wouldn't expect anything less.
So, the last question that I am going to ask you is, you've highlighted that financial services industry often neglects women and people of color. How do
Mhm.
you envision community-led initiatives that fill that gap?
I think there are already so many, first of all, the financial advisory industry is investment management. Many people think they need investment management when they don't even have any investments. So I think financial literacy is where people should start. Financial solvency, financial stability. And there are so many women already doing great work there. I used to do financial literacy when I worked at Wells Fargo Bank. I used a service called handsonbanking.org. It is a free site and it has information from K through 12, as well as elder, parents, and military financial literacy presentations. Is completely free. Handsonbanking.org. I know Daisha Kennedy with the Broke Black Girl is doing amazing work. Tiffany Oliche with the Budget Nista is doing amazing work. Clever Girl Finance. It was actually a for-profit company that used to have very low-cost financial trainings. When COVID hit, she actually made all of the trainings on her website free. That's Clever Girl Finance. I think there are already community-led initiatives. I think that people they covet the high ticket coaching industry. They covet the financial services industry. People want to be able to say, I paid big money to get support, to the degree that they don't even look at free programs, look at NASDAQ circles, or look at, there's so many, like I can't even join all the that was so weird. I'm like, how did I get backstage?
We saw that everything froze and we was like, hold on, let's bring it down a little bit. We know you were like right in the meat of things,
In the
because
meat.
yeah, you was in the meat of things, because it listen, we
Okay,
have
where did I
noticed.
cut off?
We have noticed that when we have our most powerful episodes, things start acting up. Even on one of my episodes a couple of weeks ago, my internet was acting up so bad, but it was a powerful episode.
All right, so where you stopped at is you were talking about people needing financial education, and that the fact that they free programs aren't what they're getting into anymore. And you said NASDAQ circle and it cut
NASDAQ
off.
circles. Okay. NASDAQ circles, Goldman Sachs, 1 million black women. There are so many programs. I live in Huntsville, Alabama, which is a smaller city. It's 230,000 people here, but we have local programs for small business owners right here in Huntsville. So if you live in a major metropolitan area, you live in California, you live in New York, you live in Atlanta, there's even more for you. So what I find is a lot of times we're trying to disrupt these industries. We're like, no, I want to have a financial advisor because I want to be able to tell somebody that I work with this guy at Merrill Lynch, instead of hiring a money coach or getting in a low cost financial services program that maybe is offered through your church or is offered through a local nonprofit. I remember when I was going to start a nonprofit, I live again in Alabama, and I went to this webinar on how to start a nonprofit in Alabama. And the entire webinar, the only thing the guy talked about was how there were already thousands of underfunded and non-funded nonprofits. And he discouraged us from starting yet another account and for us to instead just donate to nonprofits that were already doing what we wanted to do. And that is when I discovered that in the state of Alabama alone, there were over 300 nonprofits doing financial literacy. So here I was about to open a nonprofit doing financial literacy, and there's already over 300 in the state. Why not just donate to one of them? So there are a lot of resources. I think we are not resourceful enough. A lot of us disqualify ourselves because we don't have money. We say, well, I went to the bank, and in order to have a financial advisor, they said I had to have $100,000, and I don't have that, and I got discriminated against, so I can't have anything. Instead of saying, well, what could I do? What program could I get into? What services could I use? You'd be surprised how many folks have scholarships or sliding scales or merit-based offers, especially if you are a Black person or a woman, or if you're a person of color, if you're what they consider marginalized community, if you're low income, if you have special needs, if you are differently abled. A lot of us would qualify to get into programs for free or near free if we inquired about them. We just don't inquire. So I think it's going to be us being really honest with ourselves about where we are at and what we need, not what we see other people have or what we want to flex on the internet with.
Let me tell you, Nat, I'm loving this conversation. I love you as a person. Even from being on Clubhouse, even though I've never met you in person, I legit was telling people, I said, oh my God, Natalie said yes. When I tell you hell is going to set on fire and hell is going to be very upset that she is here, because she is so bold and she is so full of light. She is honest. She is clear. She not only believes in wealth, but she develops wealth, and she understands from a different point of view. So if you don't like what she's saying, it's something wrong with you. So we are going to go through, and I'm going to do a rapid fire question for you. Then you are going to end us with introducing yourself to everybody and anything that you have going on. And then you are going to pray us out. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
All right. Number one, the rapid fire. You have to end the end the sentence that I'm saying. Okay. Wealth is
inevitable.
Sales is
a blessing.
The best investment I ever made was
believing in myself.
One book every Black entrepreneur should read.
To Sell is Human by Daniel Pink.
Generational wealth means
not having to work, and your kids don't have to work either.
My favorite faith-based affirmation for abundance is
God will give me the desires of my heart. Oh, runner up, money answereth all things.
All right, Nat. So we're going to go ahead and let you close on out. Make sure you introduce the folks to you. Let them know where to find you at. And make sure you go ahead and pray us out. We love you.
I love you. This was such a blessing. Hey, I'm Nat Bullen. I own Unapologetic Wealth. I am a sales, wealth, and identity coach. If you enjoyed listening to me today, you can check out more about me at my website, unapologeticwealth.com. I have been on over 200 podcasts. So literally, you can sit around and binge this. You can go to my media page and have a good old time. Okay. I want to pray us out really briefly and tell you all, of course, that I love you, that whatever you think God has for you, He wants for you. All right. Please bow your heads. Dear Heavenly Father, thank you for bringing us together today. Thank you for allowing me to share my wisdom. Thank you for every voice that was heard, every story that was shared, and every question that was asked. As we prepare to depart here today, we want to bless the listeners, God. There are listeners that are going through things right now that might feel distant from you right now, that have financial challenges. Maybe some of them are making more money than they know what to do with, God, and they aren't quite at a point where they feel like they have the direction. And so, God, thank you so much for giving me the right words to say, giving me memorable anecdotes, Lord, giving me recall to be able to tell stories that could pierce the heart of your believers. God, thank you so much for the overflow and the blessings that you put on all of our lives. Thank you for the hosts. Thank you for the staff. Thank you for the tech. Thank you for the internet, God. We just thank you for all the provisions that you've given us to make this possible. Thank you so much for, letting us live to see today, for putting this on our calendar and actually be able to show up to it. We just take so much for granted, being in our right minds and being healthy and being able-bodied and having profit in our business and having clients on our roster. Like, so many people are praying for those things, and we have those things, and we just want to give you all the praise today as we depart. We want to thank you for everything that you have done, everything that you are doing, and everything that you will do. And we want to do it all in your name to bring glory to the kingdom. It is so. Amen.
Amen. Amen. Amen. I am James H. Glover III. This is my sis Cortesia Oxford. That is Miss Nat. And you all will be seeing her back again. And we will see y'all next week. Peace.
Peace.